What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Alright, so this is going to be the last game that I do for today. Hopefully I'm able to actually get it done, though, before my dad gets home. Anyway, I'm going to be showing off these two teams for the first time. We have the Oppressors taking on the Essentials. So let me tell you guys the story behind these two teams. So as you guys know, obviously, I'm assuming by the time I get around to uploading this, it'll be, the year 2021, I'm assuming. But as you guys know, obviously the biggest event of 2020, I mean, besides maybe the presidential election, was the, COVID pandemic. And I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on, left, right, liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat, whatever you are. I personally think that we can all agree that the government on every single level, whether it's local or federal, failed us spectacularly. I genuinely believe that the government failed the populace spectacularly during the COVID pandemic. They did a terrible job of handling a pandemic that, by the way, had a 0.1% death rate for the average population. But hey, let's close down everything because there's a possibility that, you catch it and there's a 0.1% chance of dying. And I know that's a shitty thing to say. And yes, every COVID death, is a sad and tragic event. I'm not saying that, COVID should not have been taken seriously. It should absolutely have been taken seriously. But at the same time, it should have been put in perspective, and our leaders failed to do that. They took the coronavirus, in my opinion, way too seriously. And I honestly believe that if Donald Trump had not been the president at the time, that the coronavirus pandemic would barely have been in the news. We would not all be walking around with masks on our faces and any of that bullshit. I genuinely believe that if Donald Trump had not been president during the COVID pandemic, we would not have been, the coronavirus would not have been completely blown out of proportion by the media. And that's a fact. That is a fact that the media blew the coronavirus pandemic way out of proportion. It sucks that we've lost over 200,000 people due to the COVID pandemic, at least at the time I'm actually recording this. Because again, keep in mind, I pre-record all my videos several months in advance before I get around to uploading them. And yeah, it sucks that we've lost 200,000 people to the coronavirus, allegedly. Even though the death rates are not being tallied correctly, by the way. But allegedly, it sucks. I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't suck, because it does. It sucks, and there's no other way to say it other than it sucks. But you know what? People die from all sorts of shit all the time. It happens. That's a part of life. People die from all sorts of shit. Heart attack, cancer, diabetes, getting shot in the fucking face. The coronavirus pandemic is nothing different than what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. People die from diseases all the fucking time. It happens. But you don't see people walking around with fucking masks on all the time. You don't see governors imposing bullshit lockdowns on their entire population, which is unconstitutional bullshit. You don't fucking see that in everyday life. There's all kinds of fucking diseases out there, probably ones we don't even know about. But apparently for the coronavirus pandemic, we have to treat that differently. And I genuinely believe that if Donald Trump had not been president, then the coronavirus would not have even been that big of a deal. It would not have even been news, But nonetheless, I honestly genuinely believe that our government has failed us. So, many of you guys are probably asking yourselves at this point, okay, multi-step, why the hell are you mentioning this? Why does this have any relevance to this, game of football, right? So, these two teams that I created, the Oppressors and the Essentials. The Oppressors are made up of public figures in the government and just public figures who were in charge during the coronavirus pandemic that I believe genuinely failed the American people. The Oppressors is made up of, again, public officials and government officials that I believe genuinely lied to and failed the American people with their bullshit COVID policies. They ruined small businesses. They ruined people who had dreams of creating small businesses, and they ruined them. All because of a virus that has a 0.1% chance of killing the average person. So the Oppressors is made up of government officials and people in general who I believe genuinely failed us during the COVID pandemic. Now for the Essentials. During the coronavirus pandemic, especially during the worst of the lockdowns, because I live in Illinois, for those of you who don't know, and our wonderful governor, J.B. Pritzker, who's a fat fucking piece of dumb shit-ass garbage. Just my humble opinion. And hey, I live in America. We have freedom of speech. I'm allowed to say that. Unless YouTube censors me. Anyway, which kind of surprised I haven't been more censored than I have been. I've only had run into issues with a couple of videos so far, so that's good. Haven't had any major, community guideline strikes so far, so hopefully we keep it that way. But yeah, the Essentials is made up of those of my coworkers, myself and my coworkers who were working during the COVID pandemic. And I gotta say, our managers, and I know I give them shit a lot, especially the general manager, I talk shit about her a lot, but I really do genuinely I do not believe that she is a bad person. I just want to make that abundantly clear. Quite the opposite. I actually think she's a great person. But I want to say, truly, I believe our managers did an unbelievably good job of navigating the coronavirus pandemic. They were dealt a really shitty situation, and they took it head on and dealt with it. So I give a lot of props to the owner of our restaurant and the management staff in general of the place that I work at. They did a phenomenal job dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. They did an absolutely phenomenal job. I gotta say, I cannot sing the praises enough. They were dealt a really shitty situation, and they took it head on and dealt with it spectacularly well, I thought. So again, a lot of thanks to the owner of the restaurant that I work at and the management staff of the place that I work at, because again, they did an excellent job dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. Absolutely excellent job. So again, thank you to all the managers and the owner of the restaurant that I work at. They did an unbelievably good job of dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. But the Essentials is made up of those of us who were working during the coronavirus pandemic. Basically me, a bunch of managers, and a couple of the servers were still working. The owner wanted people that he knew that he could trust. Also, some people just didn't want to work during the coronavirus pandemic, which I understand. When the pandemic first started, there was a lot of uncertainty, like, how bad is this thing really? There were some reports that said that the coronavirus could have like a 5% death rate, and that's a much bigger deal than a 0.1% death rate. So, there's just a lot of unknowns, so I understand why some of my coworkers didn't want to work at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. But yeah. The Essentials are made up of those of us coworkers, me and my coworkers who were working during the coronavirus pandemic. And we were referred to as essential employees. That's why I decided to name the team the Essentials, in honor of those of us who worked during the worst of the coronavirus pandemic lockdowns. And that's why I also decided to name the Oppressors, because I feel like these bullshit COVID lockdowns that were forced upon us was a form of oppression. And those government officials failed us big time. That's why I called them the Oppressors. So I figured this would kind of be a fun game to do for you guys. The Oppressors and the Essentials. But yeah, anyway, that's the story behind these two teams. So the Essentials is made up of me and my coworkers who were, still working during the coronavirus pandemic, because the owner wanted people that he knew he could trust, people that were experienced. And I've actually worked there longer than most of the managers, so I was one of those people that he trusted to work during the coronavirus pandemic, and I was very honored, obviously. So it ended up, the coronavirus pandemic didn't really affect me too badly because, again, I was working the entire time. I didn't miss out on paychecks, but God, my heart goes out to all the people who suffered so badly because of these bullshit lockdowns. Genuinely. I just feel so bad for them, But I hope people start waking up and realizing that the government, they've silently grown more and more powerful ever since this country was founded, and the founders never intended for the government to be able to control every aspect of your day-to-day lives. That was never the intention. That was the exact opposite of what the founders had intended, and I think people are starting to wake up to that. Freedom is what makes America great. Without freedom, there is no America. All right. Well, either way, I thought this would be kind of a fun game to do, the Oppressors and the Essentials. So that's the whole story behind these two teams, in case you guys were curious. Either way, it should be a great game. Both of these teams are dead even in the overall stat, both at 91. So neither one of these teams is favored to win. So could go either way. The Oppressors have an extremely good offense, or extremely good defense, I should say. The Essentials have a very good offense. So I have a feeling this could be a very good game. So either way, let's see how this goes. Oh yeah, also, I'll tell you guys about that in a little bit. About how I came up with the name Fuckville. Alright. So yeah, many of you guys are probably wondering how I came up with the name Fuckville. I don't know if you noticed there, but yes, this is taking place in a fictional town called Fuckville, Illinois. So one of my coworkers, because I mean, we were dealt a shitty hand with the whole coronavirus thing, because our restaurant was only allowed to do carryouts. So it's like, well, fuck, you know? We're just at a loss here. So one of my coworkers literally made a sign at work that said, "Welcome to Fuckville." And every time you walk in the back, you see that sign there just on the wall that said, "Welcome to Fuckville." So that's basically what we called the restaurant during the coronavirus pandemic, was we just referred to it as Fuckville. Every time I'd walk in, I'm like, all right, well, another wonderful day in Fuckville. Because that's just kind of how it was during the coronavirus pandemics. It's just like, well, welcome to Fuckville, you know? Because we were dealt such a shitty hand by the government, you know? So at that point, it's basically just like, well, welcome to Fuckville. So that's what we kind of called the restaurant during the coronavirus pandemic. So that's how I came up with the name Fuckville, in case anyone was curious. One of my coworkers made a sign that said, "Welcome to Fuckville," and then she hung it on the wall, and it was fantastic. So that was how I came up with the name Fuckville. So technically, these teams are called the Fuckville Oppressors and the Fuckville Essentials. So in case anyone was curious, that's how I came up with that. Alright, either way, I'm actually going to go take a piss real quick, so I'll be back in just a minute. Alright, I am back. Yeah, this is going to be a tough game for the Essentials, I gotta say. I have a feeling this is going to be a tough game for the Essentials, but we'll see what happens here. Like I said, this should be a very good game. Alright, so 2nd and 9. Fucking trashed his ass. Nice. Holy shit! Fucking nailed the shit out of that guy. God damn, dude. I thought he was going to catch that, but he just like nailed him and forced him to not catch the ball. That was insane. Yep, fair catch. Alright, so we'll see if the Essentials can get anything going here. Oh man, fucking nailed his ass. God damn, dude. Holy shit, just fucking destroyed him. Guy just going ape shit over there. Nice. Aw, man, he was out of bounds. That sucks. Yeah, so unfortunately the Essentials not able to make it happen there. They got close, though. Some holding there. Alright, so the Oppressors take over. We'll see what happens. Damn, nailed his ass, but he was able to get the pass off, so that was actually pretty good for the Oppressors. Damn, a good run there. The Oppressors actually doing pretty good so far on this drive. So they're at the 50-yard line, basically. I actually thought they were going to get him in the backfield, but yeah, actually able to get it out of the backfield, so that was good for the Oppressors. Stopped him in the backfield. Well done. Shut his bitch ass down. So it's 3rd down. I'm assuming like 12 or 11 or something. Yeah, 3rd and 11. Damn, that was a good throw and catch, but not able to pick up the first. And they're not in field goal range yet. So they're probably going to have to punt it, unless they go for a fake punt here. Which is something that I would do, but yeah, that's because I'm fucking crazy. So how about that? Close game so far between these two teams, 0-0. So we'll see what happens in the second quarter. We'll see if one of these teams can score. And until then, peace out.